Okay. Hello and welcome to the 16th episode of the PS Premiere podcast. I'm your host, James Smith, and today I'm joined by Dory.
Hello, my name is Dory. I go by she, her pronouns. You can find me at declare192 at twitter.com, the place that everyone loves to go and have a nice time.
Mitch.
Hello, I'm Mitch. You can find me on Twitter and also a great place, not at MitchUp1012.
And Seb.
Hi, I'm Sebastian. You can follow me at Lil793. I hope you're all having a great week, and welcome to Next Gen, guys.
Welcome to Next Gen in America.
Yes.
We can't all be as good as
No, normally we'd start with what we're currently playing. But because we have so many sort of impressions and everything to get to, we're going to leave the impressions and what we're playing until after the news. So we're going to start with the news. So I want to start by talking about some big news that came out of America this week. It was a really huge, incredible relief to everyone in the country and the world over, really. It's huge news. When it happened, people were out in the streets dancing. It was a special moment. I'm talking, of course, about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition announcement.
There it is!
It finally got announced. And it's coming in spring 2021.
It was the best thing to happen on Saturday. Nothing even came close. I mean,
Absolutely.
Nothing else was going on that day that was even nearly as good as that. All right,
Yeah.
sorry.
I know.
You're clearly more excited about this than any of us, Dory. So,
Okay. I've been really hyped about this. Honestly, I've been wanting to play them on remastered for a while. I have played 1, 2, and 3, but I really would love a remaster. I would love to go back and see what I choose differently and what I do differently. There's a lot of great character work in those games, a lot of great writing. It would be so fun to take a look back at those games and see. Like, I already know Mass Effect 1 has some issues, but Mass Effect 2 is so good. I played it for the first time in 2016, 2017, something like that. And Mass Effect 3 not long after, and really enjoy the trilogy, despite some criticisms I have. So I'm very excited for it, and hope it turns out well.
It's the same team that's working on it as the original one, right?
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's the thing that gives me some, I guess you could say hope, because it's not like it's a completely new studio who could come in and, botch up certain things. It's the same creative team. They're in they know what they're doing.
So
really.
This is BioWare's A team then, right?
I'm not sure.
Because what's going on with Dragon Age now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is going to sell incredibly well. So I would think it would have to be their A team. I mean, if this is done right, this is going to sell billions of copies.
Right.
Well, I'd hope it sells well, and I hope the first actual look we get at the game isn't Prince of Persia levels of bad.
Because
because it is going to be just an update, not like a full makeover. It's not getting the Call of Duty or the Spyro or Crash treatment here.
Right. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't really need it to. Maybe some people want that, and I think that's totally understandable. But I mean, I'm good with just a remaster that you can play on the PS5 or 4.
Right.
It's probably going to be cross-gen, because Sony has said that they're going to keep the PS4 afloat for the next 3 years. So at least.
But it's being made for the PS4, right? It's more last gen.
I thought I heard that it was mainly last gen, but next gen is has a free upgrade.
Yeah.
I think with the fact that it's being updated, not remade, I'm really interested to see what they do with the first game, though, because I know that's got it's probably out of the trilogy, its gameplay is probably the weakest.
Yep.
Yeah,
most would say. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see whether they're going the lazy route and just giving it a graphical overhaul, or if they're actually going to go through and fix some systems and make it a better game.
I mean, as much as I didn't like Destroy All Humans, they did some things with it that improved the gameplay and updated it for the modern gen without doing a total remake of, obviously they did a rehaul of the graphics, but they didn't rehaul, everything about the game, right? It wasn't a remake in the same way.
Yeah.
So I think you can pick and choose. I think all they really have to do for that game is improve loading screens, improve the combat, and that's it. That's all they got to do.
Yeah, like as someone who wants to play through those games and hasn't played through them, all I really need is for it to feel modern. Like I don't need it to look like a new game. I just need it to feel like something that isn't painful to get through. You know?
Yeah, really feel like you're Shepard.
It might still feel dated to you just because you had to might have played it back then. You know, the first one came out 2008, 2009, right?
2007.
Even before
I think,
that, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you like the second one more.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as it, I feel like if you're bringing these games forward, the only reason to do it other than to sell more copies is to, improve it a bit and make it fun to play now rather than a struggle.
Yeah.
But I mean, they also announced that there was a new Mass Effect game in development. Right, I don't know if they gave any details on this. I don't think they did.
It's actually Andromeda 2! No, I'm kidding.
You know what? I wouldn't hate that. Andromeda is a great game. It is!
We're just going to leave it at that. We're going to leave it at that.
Gameplay.
Look, I haven't played Andromeda. I've just seen the cutscenes. I can't judge you that harshly, James.
I thought the gameplay was good, but the storyline and the character models were garbage. Complete garbage.
Honestly,
but the characters were good. Like, the animations were trash, and the story was a bit generic, but the characters were I really like the characters.
The gameplay saved the game for me. I didn't hate it, but it was very mediocre.
Yeah. Mitch, did you play Andromeda?
Yeah. I did, and I completely forgot that I beat the game, but I did. The story was that forgettable. But I beat the game, and it was as Seb said, the gameplay was really good, but the story was kind of mediocre and stuff. I haven't played the original trilogy though, so I can't necessarily compare it to the originals, but as my first Mass Effect game, it was pretty meh.
Oh, that sucks, because Mass Effect's such a great trilogy.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any. I don't know if that doesn't make any sense to me though, because that was my first Mass Effect game as well. I went in with zero expectations and I loved it. So
I think you have the minority opinion in general, though. I would say people hate that game with passion.
I guess I'm more easily amused than the average consumer. So
I don't know. I mean, people have different tastes. I never played Andromeda. I heard about all the reviews it got. I saw some cutscenes, and I was really put out by. And I know this is cliche, but I was really put out by Mass Effect 3's ending. And I was just like, I don't. Honestly, I felt satisfied. I didn't feel like there needed to be another Mass Effect game. I was like, y'all made 3 mostly great games, and I don't think you need to do anything. I don't think I needed Andromeda.
Mass Effect's is not like Star Wars, where it had its own story. You can edit it right there. You don't have. There's not you don't need to do a vast universe full of all.
I think that was the other problem with Andromeda for me. Not only did it not look impressive, but also I just didn't feel the need after playing 2 and 3. I was like, y'all did it. You just hang up your boots, go do something else.
Exactly.
Now, and that's the thing, isn't the strength with Mass Effect the characters and everything? So it's not we don't need another sci-fi extended universe, right?
Yeah, but this is BioWare at its best. BioWare is not what it used to be, that's for sure. But this BioWare, their stories used to be they were the king of storylines. Their CD Projekt Red now is what they were back then. I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if some people from BioWare are now in CD Projekt Red. That wouldn't shock me at all, now that you mention it.
Yeah. But the only thing I'm wondering is, is the A-Team working on the new game as well? So they're doing a remaster, a new game, and Dragon Age? They're doing a lot of... They're busy, BioWare.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing, thing to me...
Because Andromeda was the D-Team.
The interesting thing...
Go ahead.
Yeah, the interesting thing to me is about this new Mass Effect game that they've said they're making is I believe they said that they have a team of veterans working on it, but they didn't say what veterans they were. Yeah. They didn't say what they were veterans of. They just said they were veterans. So they could be, they could be the Quiet Man veterans.
Yeah,
who knows?
They could be veterans of the Geonosian War in Star Wars, or the Genophage. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Am I the one that gets that reference? No.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Clone Wars? Okay.
Probably. Yeah.
I knew there was a Geno in both Star Wars and Mass Effect, so I decided to just put both references in one sentence. I'm like, the Genophage and the Genosians.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Anyway.
yeah, I'm not a big sci-fi fan in general, really. So
Sure, that's fair.
maybe I'm not the target audience, but yeah, I know I enjoyed Andromeda. But yeah, anyone else got anything to say about that?
I'm really excited. I would love to play these games again, and FemShep for the win. And I don't know. I honestly, one thing I will really praise Mass Effect for is, and obviously this happened before Mass Effect, but I mean, the fact that there was some LGBT representation within the games was really nice and really good. It never felt tacked on. It felt really meaningful. It didn't feel like they were doing it to like make a quick buck. It felt like they actually cared.
One of the first to do it too.
Yeah, I think they were one of the first. They were really the pioneers of making that more. I mean, you can, I think you can do that in Odyssey, can't you? Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I'm not sure. Can you? Yeah.
I think you
can, but it's terrible.
Anyway,
it was Dragon Age Inquisition that did that. The same.
Oh,
sex.
sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just to say that they've done some really great things over the years, so I'm excited for this.
Me personally, for me, I'm not like excited, but I'm like, I need to see like actual footage of the game. Like, I want to see how well they remaster it and stuff like that. Because
yeah.
I'm not excited, but I'm not like I'm somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think for me with Mass Effect, I think it really is just dependent on the first game and how that looks and plays. Because I think if the first game isn't, at least hasn't been updated in any major way, then I probably won't be interested in the whole.
Yeah, that's fair.
But even if the gameplay is dated for you guys, the storyline is so good. I think you guys will still really like it. Honestly.
Yeah, like if this remaster wasn't happening, I would probably go back and play those games anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're all free on Game Pass now with Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play. So
that's true.
What a deal! Fantastic. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that Take-Two is going to acquire Codemasters. They're in the process of acquiring Codemasters, and they'll have done it by early 2021. Codemasters, of course, the developers of games like the Grid series, the Dirt series, Onrush, they did that one as well, and a bunch of other racing games. They do mainly racing games. So I guess, I mean, they paid a lot of money for this. It was almost $1 million. No, it was almost $1 billion.
I was going to say $1 million seems a bit.
Yeah, $1 million would be lowballing it, but
$1 billion.
But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money. But I guess Take-Two doesn't really have any racing games in their portfolio at the moment.
So what you're saying is there's a chance of a Burnout remaster, even though I know they didn't actually do Burnout, but
they didn't do Burnout at all. There was already a Burnout remaster. They did.
I guess it's
Paradise.
It seems like a lot.
I didn't really like Paradise. Anyway, sorry, we're getting off topic.
I was gonna say it seems like a lot for that, but for that developer, but I think their games sell pretty well, right? Like, cause I know
they sell okay.
I know in Europe, I know Europeans really love racing games, like generally more than over here. So I know they sell really well.
Yeah, I mean, racing games are in general quite a niche, I think.
But
they're not mainstream.
No, but they especially sell well in Europe, I think.
Right, sure. But yeah, I mean, the price does seem high, even considering how many games they publish, how many sort of good IPs they have. I wasn't a fan of the newest Grid game, really, and it was okay, but I think I'm going to pick up Dirt 5 though.
Okay,
that looks interesting. But yeah, like
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of IP under there, and they have like a lot of deals with like racing companies and stuff, I think, for branding and name using rights and that sort of thing. So
I'm curious what you think of Dirt 5 when you get it, because the footage has not impressed me at all. So I'm curious.
No, really. Well, because the thing that interests me about it is the fact that like the Dirt series, maybe it's just a fact of me. Maybe it's just a case of me not being well researched enough, because I don't really touch those games. But my perception of that series is more sort of realistic and rally focused. Because Dirt 4 I've played, and that's like mostly just rally stages. But this one seems a lot more arcadey, like it's got circuit tracks and that sort of thing. So, which is why I'm more interested in it, I think.
Yeah. The graphics just don't look this gen, like next gen, this gen.
Well,
it looks dated.
It would be nice, I think. One of the reasons I'm getting it is because it would be nice to have a racing game for next gen. Especially
Turismo.
considering like the adaptive triggers and that sort of thing and the haptic feedback. I assume it has support for those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess you guys don't really play a lot of racing games, so you probably don't have much to add on this.
Only,
I
only a couple.
My first, I've only really, I remember playing Gran Turismo on the Gran Turismo on the PS2 as a kid. I hated the game. I hated it so much. I was like, it was so for me, and I'm, I was also much younger. I was a teenager or something, but I felt it was so punishing and so overly realistic. I was like, this is not fun. And then I played Burnout 3 and then Burnout 4, and I was like, this is amazing. This is what I want. Yeah. So I have very little experience besides Burnout.
I'm the same way because I like arcade racing games because I don't like Forza. I know I respect Forza, but Forza isn't for me because I don't like those realistic driving simulators where you awe at the graphics. But like, I will say craziness,
if you guys think like Gran Turismo and Forza are realistic, then don't touch stuff like Assetto Corsa and Project Cars because I think that's even because I don't touch the simulators really. Like I think Gran Turismo is probably as far as I'll go in that direction.
It's still leaning more on the real life than Crazy Taxi or Burnout.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they don't let you like drift around corners and stuff.
Yeah.
What we all really need is a Kingdom Hearts kart game and called Kingdom Karts, and that's really it.
That's the thing.
I think we need a new Ridge Racer. That's what I want.
Ridge Racer? No, but
Ridge Racer. Remember that one?
That's the thing with Gran Turismo. Is like I'm curious. You don't remember that? It's like no. Okay.
Oh.
E3.
Sorry.
E3 2000.
I played a lot of the I played Crash Team Racing, Looney Tunes Racing, and I played the NASCAR racing game where you could shoot tornadoes out of your car. But yeah, like I said, mostly arcadey games.
Yeah.
Don't forget the legendary Shrek Smash and Crash Racing on the PS2. That was
obviously hailed as one of the great racing games of our time.
Absolutely.
No, but is this a Gran Turismo?
I actually think
go ahead. Go ahead.
I actually think Colin McRae called that his favorite racing game of all time.
Who?
He's a rally driver. Never mind.
Okay. Seb, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say Gran Turismo interests me. It's just like for $70 though. I know I'm just not gonna put like 40-50 hours in that. It's like I'd be buying it just because it's new and not because I really want it.
I wouldn't buy that for half of it, but
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't. One of those things. I get it if it was like $10 or something.
Sure.
It's not my genre. It's just not.
Same. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Mitch.
Go ahead, Mitch.
No, I don't really have much to add. I'm just interested to see what Take-Two does with Codemasters. I don't know if they want to continue with any of their established franchises or if they want to do something new. But yeah,
I've seen a lot of people who are fans of Codemasters games sort of express concern about this because they're worried that Take-Two is going to like take away all their creativity and like and that sort of thing and make them more commercialized.
Yeah, do you think they're going to take two of their creativity?
Nope. I'm not going to dignify that with a response.
That's going on Twitter. Write that down.
I gotta beat myself. I can't stop laughing.
Okay.
You got it.
So yeah, but I'm quite excited for Dirt 5. To try Dirt 5. So I think that'll be great on PS5. And speaking of PS5, we've got some PS5 news. Sony has confirmed that they have future plans to add free PS5 games to the monthly PS Plus lineup, which is
nice.
Maybe not all that surprising. I mean, we all kind of figured they were going to do that anyway, right?
Just to hear a confirmation, though.
Yeah, like I think the only reason that they're doing it like one game for 2 months at the moment is because there aren't enough games. But once we get like a year down the road,
not enough smaller games because I think like say if they put Miles Morales or something on PS Plus in like March or something next year, that's basically like they'd be losing out on profits and sales from that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Really, there's no reason for them to put any major PS5 games unless they're like really obscure indies or stuff till like at least mid next year.
Yeah, I'd like putting what do you call it? That arena racing sort of game.
Destruction All Stars.
Oh,
Destruction All Stars. Putting that on there was a smart move because if people latch onto that, that's a multiplayer game. People are going to keep playing that, and in order to have access to it, they're going to need to keep buying PlayStation Plus, and that's going to feed subscriptions. But if they did that with Miles Morales, people would buy a month, play through it, and then unsubscribe.
Seeing the Metacritic for Godfall, I think that should be a plus game in like 6 months because that game's not going to sell well.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I think Gearbox would probably be very open to that deal.
Yeah, it's a service game too. So
it's not a service game.
It's not a service game.
No, it's a loot.
It's not a service game, which
whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a looter slasher, but everyone on the subreddit surprisingly is actually saying no. This should be a service game. The game is flawed, broken to hell. So
yeah. I mean, not to get too far off topic, but the one thing that annoys me about that game and the fact that it's Gearbox publishing it is the fact that like before it even launched, they already started shoehorning Borderlands stuff into it.
Yeah.
They put the sword as a pre-order bonus.
I think because they know. They know that.
You know, I think it would make a really great title for a review: The Downfall of Godfall. I don't know.
Oh,
sounds good.
You can do that one.
Is it really a downfall when nobody had expectations for it?
That's true. The upfall, the sideways fall.
We roasted the shit out of it the whole year.
That's true.
Here, so we all called
and then,
it.
when
honestly, we should have just been the Godfall roast podcast for the past few months.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that we were absolutely right. So from now on, we're going to be doing our reviews months in advance of the game's actually released.
That's right. That's right.
It always felt off that game. Just something always.
Yeah, we called it a while ago that was going to be 60, 70 maybe on Metacritic.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Mitch.
but
not good.
Mitch, you trying to say something? Because we keep talking over
you.
You.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say the fact that I think the biggest problem with Gearbox's involvement in Godfall is the fact that Randy Pitchford is somewhere in that paradigm.
That's true.
He's just somewhere in there. You can feel his presence. Just watching over you as you play.
A presence I haven't felt in many years.
I haven't heard that name in
with every copy of Godfall. You get Randy Pitchford. He just sits over your shoulder, watches you play.
Oh God, that gave me the shudders, James. You should write horror films.
Oh my God.
Starring Randy Pitchford.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I mean, there's more news as well. Games are not going to be region locked apparently on PlayStation 5, which is exciting. I don't think games haven't been region locked in
only Nintendo
ages, have they? Only Nintendo, yeah. So that's once again not surprising. But this one is something that I'm interested in. Actually, the PS5 doesn't natively support 1440p resolution.
Yeah, this hurts.
So the interesting thing is, right? They said it's because they want to focus more on TVs, which obviously are they don't have 1440p TVs. It's 1080p or 4K. But I mean, yeah, it's weird to me that they have support for 1080p and 4K, but not the halfway point. I don't know the technical side of that, but
yeah, the thing is, 1440p tends to be PC focused. Because obviously, unless you have thousands of dollars, most people that play PC gaming play on 1440p monitors like I do. All three of my monitors in front of me are 1440p. So this guarantees that I can't play PS5 on these monitors at all. But that sucks. That affects a lot of people that would have put their PS5 on the desk.
But they did say that
they hint at it.
If enough people request it, they'll look into doing it in the future. So
I think they will, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I'd say Sony would be actively detrimenting themselves if they didn't support it in some form in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, keep in mind that I think TVs have passed monitors. Monitors are very behind TVs right now. The 4K monitor, it's really hard to find a nice 30-something inch 4K monitor. It's impossible. It doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
You have to get a 27-inch only, really. They're so behind on TVs are so ahead of monitors. They have to start catching up. So that's why they're focused on TVs more.
Yeah, but here's what I'm excited about. They put out a launch trailer for the PS5. I think this was in the launch trailer. or just a new trailer anyway. And it said, I think at the end of the trailer, in the small print, that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Gran Turismo 7, and Returnal are all estimated to release in the first half of 2021. Which obviously, this is the biggest thing here, is the confirmation that Gran Turismo 7 is releasing that soon. Because I expected Gran Turismo 7 to be like 2025. I didn't think that was coming out anytime soon.
When do you guys think they're coming out? Like, what month would you guess?
I would guess. I'd say Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart probably would be the soonest one, because that's the one that they've sort of hinted at a release date more for that.
I feel
like February or March, maybe.
I disagree. I was gonna say I disagree. I think Returnal. I mean, my guess is that Returnal's going to be like a February title, because that's like it's more of a AA budget title. So I'd say that's probably the month where it'll come out. Ratchet and Clank will probably fit into their March-April window, and then I'm guessing Gran Turismo might be May or June.
That could be right.
I will, as a counterpoint to that, I will say that I think Returnal is probably more prone to delays, because Insomniac has sort of proven themselves they don't delay games very often, I don't think.
Yeah, the thing is, Returnal does, if it doesn't get delayed, it does feel a lot like a January, February game. You know what I mean? Like right in between big games. You know what I mean? Like you fit it right nicely in. And Gran Turismo feels a lot like a nice summer game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's
you don't want that going up against big AAA games.
So I think June. Or July.
That'll be fun. Also, apparently, Horizon Forbidden West is launching in the second half of 2021, which I thought was already known, but I guess it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't confirmed.
I was going to say I'm surprised that Sony's starting out so strong with their like launch lineup in like the first 2 years, because not only are we also getting Horizon, but we're also supposedly getting God of War 2 in late next year as well, which is
although I don't believe that.
Very surprising. I fully expect it to be delayed into 2022. But
I'll
be surprised.
Yeah, go ahead, Mitch. Sorry.
No, I was going to say I'll be surprised if both Horizon and God of War come out in the second half of 2022. Sorry, 2021. Right.
If you also want to include Final Fantasy 16 because it's a timed exclusive, that is. Well, I'm assuming it's a timed exclusive. They haven't even said it's going to come to other platforms yet. So
I'm assuming it's timed.
I'm assuming it's timed.
Yeah.
So you can include that too, which is a big game.
Yeah,
I will probably have a PS5 myself by the time Horizon comes out, so that's exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a year, like bloody hell. Now listen, Mitch, you don't have a PS5 yet. Haha.
Wow, strong segment opener. Okay, good. I want to see where this is going. Let's make Mitch cry, I guess.
Well, because you don't have a PS5 yet, I wanted to ask you: have you noticed anything pop up on your PS4 recently?
I must say, I did see one thing pop up on my homepage completely out of the blue. It was a remote play app for the PS5, which I'm guessing came with a recent system update and only just decided to appear now. But basically, whatever in the very odd and rare case where I guess you have a PS5 in your house and someone's like, say upstairs or whatever, and someone's hogging the TV up there, so you're just like, well, I'm going to play it downstairs on the PS4, so then you can do that.
Yeah, good internet required, I suppose.
Yeah, which in Australia we don't have good internet, so it's basically a misnomer for me.
I don't have particularly good internet either, but I'm hoping I can make use of that when I move my PlayStation into another room, my PS4. But yeah, that's sort of, they didn't announce that. I don't think that just sort of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Dropped as a nice little bonus.
Games are not made to be played in streaming. Like, we're not.
That's true. That's true.
We're not there yet.
But I have seen people like playing games like Persona 5 on the remote play, like through their laptops and stuff for PS4. And like for a game like that, where you don't need quick response time and stuff like that, I reckon it's probably a good feature. Like you're not going to be able to play COD. But
I've
go ahead,
like,
Mitch.
sorry, I was going to say I've played Persona 5 on like the remote play app on my phone a few times as well, like when I'm in bed or whatever, and it's definitely playable there. But yeah, I think like anything above the level of reaction time of say like a Resident Evil game or something requires you can't do it for streaming.
Yeah, I used to remote play a lot on my Vita on my PS4. But you only like you guys said, you can only do it on certain games because obviously you can't play shooters with a Vita. So
it gives you options though, and I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all the news for this week. Unless there was anything anybody else wanted to talk about.
No, I mean, PlayStation also confirmed that they're going to go up to 8K eventually, so that's worth noting, I guess.
Yeah, because I think there was a big thing when they were announcing the new generation. They all, like Xbox and PlayStation, they both said, "Oh, you know, their consoles support 8K."
They do,
and all that.
Got a patch
which was sort of, it didn't really mean anything at the time because it's like,
we're not
okay, but nobody has 8K.
Yeah, 5 years, 6 years from now.
Yeah, but it's nice that they're future proofing. But yeah, so Seb, what have you been playing recently? Anything good?
Oh, where do I start? Because it's been 2 weeks since we talked about this. All right, so I platinumed Unravel. I had one trophy left, and I just had it's bothering me. I beat Ghostbusters. I beat Doom Eternal. I beat Borderlands 3 last night, and then I'm playing Miles Morales in Astro's Playroom. And
wow, that's a lot.
And I'm gonna be playing Demon Souls. So.
Yeah,
crazy.
A lot of stuff.
Yep.
Anything you want to make note of in those that are not Miles Morales or Astro's Playroom?
No problem. Borderlands 3, I thought it was pretty good. It was very choppy though. The frame rate was awful, and there's a lot of pop-ins.
Really?
Yeah, I had a lot of pop-ins.
What kind of PS4 have you got?
Yeah, Pro.
You've got Pro?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was just something I kept getting pop-ins.
That is interesting.
And, yeah.
That is, I guess that series has always had issues with like pop-in and stuff, but I didn't notice too many issues when I played it. But
yeah, it didn't ruin the game for me, but yeah, it was definitely noticeable. And Doom Eternal, obviously, I beat it on the PC and I played it on PlayStation. Just as good as it was on PC. Really great game. Yep, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Mitch, what were you?
Well, besides this week with Miles Morales, I've really been getting into Vampire, whatever it's called lately.
Vampire.
And I'm actually Vampire. I don't know how we pronounce it. But surprisingly enough, I'm actually really getting into it. I'm probably about like halfway through, but like I think the opening hour was bad. I'm like, I don't know if I can keep playing this. But then once you get past like the first hour or so and you actually start to interact, like once you properly interact with the characters in the world and actually talk with them, the game instantly jumps up massively in quality. I think like it's not amazing levels of writing or voice acting. It's nothing great or amazing, but I think it's definitely interesting enough to like sustain me in the world for like 15 or so. Like I'd say I've played probably about like 12 to 15 hours total.
Are you going to go after the Blat or?
Well, I thought I was, except then I accidentally killed someone.
Yeah.
Well, accidentally, and then I remember that there was a trophy that required it, and seeing as I don't think I'll be playing through it again anytime soon, I'm basically just doing whatever. I'm just gonna kill whoever I feel like.
Yeah, because I was gonna.
Actually,
go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, you go.
I was gonna ask you. I asked you that because if you do that run like where you can't kill any humans, it makes the game significantly harder. You have to be very specific.
I was gonna say
how you get your experience.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I will also say though, I think to quickly get off on a tangent before I get onto my next game, I think there was one woman that I embraced in Vampire where I'm like, oh, you know, it's like you're terrible, you constantly like you're rude to everyone, so I, you know, took off to her in corner, I bit her or whatnot, and then because whenever you bite someone, there's like they have like a little line of dialogue or whatever that I guess is their spirit or something, And then she said something around the lines. It's like, oh, everyone hates me and I hate myself. I'm like, oh god, I feel really bad now. And then I got a little pop-up that said that all of her daughters and everything are now homeless thanks to what he's done. So I'm like, oh god, I feel terrible.
Before you move on to your next game, like, there's a trophy for like making the whole city go crazy. Like, you have to kill literally every person. Once you it's hilarious, you know. So.
Jesus.
Well, I honestly I like quite a few of the characters, so I don't think I'll be killing them off anytime soon.
Well,
but
I beat your game and then you do it.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel a distinct tinge of regret when when it came to that decision. That was heartbreaking for me. But anyways, the next major game I guess I could say I've been getting through is the first Dead Space. I decided to pick that up for like $5 when I was on sale for Halloween, and I'm really enjoying it.
What are you playing on?
It's Dead Space.
We all approve.
The Xbox.
Xbox.
We retract our approval, Mitch. We retract the approval.
Yeah, no Xbox on this podcast. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah. No,
we're all Sony ponies forever.
Well, I guess I'll skip to my next one. No. But the next game I've been playing, and I've played a couple hours of, is Destiny 2, the new Beyond Light update.
Oh, right, yeah. Big Destiny head?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
No.
Is that what they're called? Destiny heads?
No. I don't know, but no.
I don't know. Fran would probably know. I haven't actually bought the proper expansion yet. I'll probably just get that for free with Game Pass and Xbox.
Oh, right, because they give you like some of the stuff for free, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Bitch, this is a PlayStation podcast. Come on.
I know. What am I doing?
All right.
Brand loyalty to more than one? No, fine. But I think the update probably isn't as, at least to what I've played a few hours of so far, it's not as impactful as they might have led you to believe. Like, it's very much Destiny 2 still. Like, all of the systems and gameplay and loot, it's still pretty much exactly the same. Only now is that there's less of it. Which, I don't know, I can't speak to whether it's a good thing or a bad thing yet, because I haven't played all of the Destiny content before. I haven't gotten through it all. But it feels a lot more streamlined, for sure. But there's also, I think, out of all the stuff that they took out, there's like, I'm now more noticing, it's like, oh, well, I don't really like this strike, or I don't really remember liking this mission and whatnot. So, I mean, I heard that they plan on adding, planets and stuff back gradually over time, but I don't know how long that'll take or anything really. So I guess we'll just have to see on that. And then the final thing I've been playing this week is Miles Morales, which I'll definitely get into later. So, yes, that's my long 5-minute thing over with. Yeah.
You've been playing a lot. Dory, what about you? Have you played as much as Mitch?
Kind of. Okay, so let's see. Earliest after the last podcast, I did a stream where I fought Sephiroth on Critical on Kingdom Hearts 2, and I fought him for like 2 hours until I finally beat him. I was like a level 40, which is really weak. You should really be higher than that. But I didn't have another save file, so I did what I did.
You're giving me PTSD. You're giving me PTSD right now.
Anyway, so I beat him, and that was really fun. Let's see. And then I've been playing a lot of Ghosts to get raid ready. I got to almost level 100. I think I'm at 90, 96. Can't remember. And that's super fun. But Miles Morales and Melody of Memory have come out, which I've been playing, by the way, and have my impressions for. So I haven't been able to do any raids yet. And I still haven't finished the frickin' multiplayer story. I know it's not a huge deal, but it's just aggravated me. So I only have 3 or 4 stories left, and I need to finish those missions. But yeah, and I've been playing Hades. I just every now and then, it's just kind of a pick up and like do a run and then put it down and then come back to it whenever I want to. I'll do it if I'm like really bored during a class, or if I can't concentrate, or if I'm listening to a podcast. Like last night, I was listening to the Min-Max podcast, and I said, you know what? Why don't I do another Magfest run? And so I got a new best time, which was 21 minutes. So I beat the game in 21 minutes, which was really fun. Yeah. The speedrunners have it down to 6 minutes, 7 minutes. It's very impressive. So yeah, you can beat this game really fast. And it's really,
does
really
Hades
fun.
have like a long tail, or because I know you finished it a while ago?
Does it have a long tail? What do you mean?
Like, is there a lot of content after you finish the game?
Oh, yes. Yeah, when you beat the game, honestly, there's so much more you can do. There's actually an epilogue, too. I haven't gotten to it. I don't know if I ever will. But there's a lot to do still after. There are a lot of side things that you... Basically, beating the game means you've... Excuse me. You've done the main... resolved the main conflict within the House of Hades. But there are still many side missions. Certain characters haven't been reunited. Certain characters still have bad blood with others. Certain characters still don't know what other characters are. Obviously, I'm being intentionally vague here. But yeah, so there's still a lot to clean up and still a lot to do. And obviously, there's still plenty of challenges to do in Hades. But yeah, so that's mostly what I've been playing. Last couple days, it's been all Miles and all Melody.
Great. Myself, I've been playing quite a bit of Steep this week. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, Steep? That game sucks. Yeah. Why are you playing that? And I'll tell you,
I wasn't thinking anything.
It's you guys. You don't know. It's that Ubisoft. It's that Ubisoft snowboarding game. Yeah.
Okay. It's that Ubisoft game that got like one major DLC drop and then was completely shoved under the rug.
Yeah, because people didn't like it. It's not that good. The main problem with it is that there's no content really. It's like you're just going around and trying to get as far as you can on these runs, and that's it. There's not a lot of depth to it. But the reason I've been going back to it is because if you'll remember, the game was free on PlayStation Plus back in January 2019. And so me and a while back, yeah. So me and a few friends downloaded it. And we played it for a little while. And there was this run that me and one friend of mine were doing quite a bit. And I can't remember if I said to him or if he said to me, I bet you can't beat my time on this run. And we sort of went back and forth a few times trying to one-up each other. And now here we are 2 years later, and he finally beat my score again. And so I'm back playing it, trying to beat his score. And like, we're getting really close to the world record. Like, the gold time for this course is 1 minute 15. And the world record is 59 seconds something. We're both in the 1 minute 1 second realm. So we're getting quite close to that world record, but it's taking a lot longer to beat those scores now. But yeah, that's actually a lot of fun. I think it's interesting how like the game isn't that fun in general, but you can sort of make your own fun in it in that way. But yeah, we should probably get into the newer games because nobody wants to hear about Steep. So nobody wants to hear about a failed Ubisoft snowboarding game. So Seb, unlike Mitch, Seb did get his PS5 this week.
Yep.
So
you've been sort of playing around with it for a couple days.
Seb,
or for today.
We need half a day today.
We need video proof, Seb. We need video proof.
No, we do not. We absolutely do not.
No,
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Don't show it to me. No.
Sorry, James. Honestly, I truly did forget that you had that thing.
Okay, but stop it.
No, not the box.
James is very hesitant about spoilers. It's kind of like when you shine like a holy cross at a vampire. It's very similar.
That's right. So yeah, but you've got some impressions of the PS5, right? Oh god. No, put that away, Seb. Nobody wants to see that.
Let me just whip this out.
So, my impressions of PS5. Well, the first thing that jumps out at you right away is the box, and the console itself is gigantic. I feel like I ordered a washing machine like when it came in. Like it's that big. And in my setup, it stands out. It's a fat console. It's pretty big.
How many GameCubes big is it?
That's a good question.
We're measuring GameCubes now.
5 or 6. I was thinking 3 or 4.
No.
Okay.
It's bigger in person than you see in the videos. I'm not even exaggerating.
It's a big boy.
Oh, also,
It's a big boy.
Another thing noticeable is in the front is very glossy, and a lot of people are not happy about that. It's very shiny. Like you can see your reflection. It's that glossy.
But I guess it probably looks better in person though, right?
Oh, it looks better in person, but it's tacky. So it's very responsive. It's very fast. Like, it takes a while to get used to the UI because obviously it's very similar, but it's also very different. So you have to memorize where your settings and your profile is because they kind of put it in the corner now, and normally you just go up and it's there. You know what I mean? You gotta do a little more extra steps to get to what you want now. But it's very fast, and the store, which I like, is it's very simple. Like like in the PS4 you have to load into the store, and sometimes it takes like 10 seconds. Like it doesn't work right. This one is like instant, and it feels like it's not even like you're not even going in store. It's just part of the UI itself. It's very bland. I mean, this story's kind of bland looking, but it's fine. And then they put it like the latest games that are coming out, and then they put it by collections. So right now there's a weekly collection like of all the new games that came out, and then there's like a superhero collection right now. So they have like Batman in the front. So I guess they're doing a sale with Batman games or superhero games. And then you get the subscriptions, and then and then you browse all the categories. And then the bottom you can pick between PS5 games, PS4 games, free to play games, and PSVR games. So it's very very accessible. It's very easy to navigate around.
Simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. So I didn't have any issue. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So I was gonna say, I haven't actually heard anyone mention this. Do they have like PlayStation Video or like music or anything? Because I know PlayStation Store on the 4 has like movies and stuff you can browse. Does the 5 have that yet, or is it just games mainly?
Well, it has 2 tabs on the top. It says Games and Media, and then, so you go on the media page. You can get like Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Spotify. I didn't mess around with that because I have a smart TV, so I'm never gonna touch that. But they separated the game section with the media section, so they have a whole page. Yeah, you'll see what I mean.
Okay, yeah,
it's right on the top.
I shall hopefully.
Say it again. I didn't catch that.
I was just joking. Like, hopefully, I'll be able to, see it for myself if I actually get a PS5.
2023. I'll let you can let us know.
2023. That's the year.
So you guys saw that every game has like the background. There's no themes or anything yet. So when you hover over the game, it shows a screenshot, not a screenshot, but like artwork with the song. The Miles Morales one has an awesome like hip hop beat to it. So I kind of just leave it on.
Well, so they all have like music when you hover over them, kind of like the PS3 did.
In the PS4, but on those you gotta do extra steps to get to that.
Did the PS4 do that?
Yeah, because if you
just have to go down.
You have to go down, right? Yeah. Okay.
This one's automatic.
But this one just does it automatically. Yeah.
Yes.
I always hated that on the PS5 on the PS3 when it did that because I'd hover over a game and then all of a sudden it would go into this screen and it started blaring music.
It does that, yeah.
I'd never liked that.
You could probably turn it off, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I noticed the Bug Snacks doesn't have a song though, which is disappointing. I was hoping for the Bug Snacks.
I'm talking about.
What else? The hints feature is really cool. It literally tells you it literally shows you what to do. Like it's a video. You know what I mean? Like it literally shows you how to do everything. Like it's crazy. Like you feel like you're cheating completely.
Are these like videos made by the developer then?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's streamed, and you can actually put it to the side and leave it like that way the whole time. You can save it to your side of your screen. Sorry, guys.
Right.
1 second, guys.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I was gonna say
let me mark that down. Let me mark that down so I can edit. 51. Anyway,
so my impression of the hints sort of feature was that it was going to be like it was just going to queue up YouTube videos. It was going to search for like what you needed to know and then queue up, and you'd have to start a video and it'd be like, "Hey, what's up, guys? No, we're here back with another video."
It's from them exactly. It gets right to the point. It shows exactly where you are, and here, this is what you do.
That's good. That sounds good.
I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if if like years down the line, when support for the hints feature kind of dies out, if Sony like extends support to like actually user submitted.
Yeah,
maybe, but
I wouldn't be surprised if like in like a few years down the line if they'll allow user submitted hints.
that's the thing though. Like, I like that. I hope developers continue to sort of develop towards that, because I like in like Dreams where the tutorials are these sort of videos that you watch, and then you have to like you watch them do it in the video and they talk about it, and then you go and do the thing yourself, and that's a much better way of learning how to do stuff than just reading a text box.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they directly integrate those hints into like the hint system, like from the base game and forward to like the hint system on the 5 with the side and side screen stuff. I'd say that'd be for that game.
That would be cool, yeah.
I heard Demon Souls has like 160 videos.
Wasn't it 180? I thought it was 180.
Something like that.
Yeah, 180.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
so I use it for Astro's Playroom just to, like, if I couldn't find where the puzzle piece was. I'll get into that later. But sometimes it didn't work. Like the video just wouldn't load, and then I press X to click play, and then it would like freeze. So it's a little buggy. Maybe it's because it's new. Maybe that's just how it's gonna be. But we'll see. What's cool is you can, when you go to the menu, you can check how like your progress on your trophies. Like if you're on a level, even if it's a story trophy, you know, the ones you always get no matter what. Like that will tell you like 66%. So you're 66% through the level, or is it collectible? It always tells you, and of course you guys know that it tells you your playtime now. So it says I have about an hour in Astro's Playroom and an hour in Miles Morales. I don't know how accurate it is, so I'm assuming like it rounds up unless you're like an hour and 40, it goes to 2 hours maybe. I don't think it does decimals. I think it's whole numbers only. Yeah. So, and then the last thing, which is the most important thing to me, is the haptic feedback is a complete game changer. Like I can't even explain how good it is. It's probably the best controller I've ever used.
Well, what do you think is better, the haptic feedback or the adaptive triggers? Because the triggers were what I was most excited about.
Like that, I would lean more on the haptic feedback, because every time you go in the sand or the water, it feels like you're actually in the sand and the water. Like it really does. It's not just a gimmick, you know. Like
that's nuts, yeah.
Yeah, like when you grab a rope, it feels like you're grabbing the rope. And the triggers.
So you got what? You get rope burn and stuff for added immersion.
I kind of put the two of those things together.
We're not going to want to play Last of Us Part 2 again with all that rope swinging.
But I kind of put those two together because they both go hand in hand together. It depends on the game, though. Astro's Playroom, you should play that first to really get used to the controller.
I tell you what, like, I don't want to play Black Ops 4. No, sorry, not Black Ops 4. I don't want to play Black Ops 3, the first mission of that with the controller.
Yeah. So it's revolutionary. So I imagine other companies are going to start doing their own version of this down the road too. And yeah. And that's pretty much it. Like, you know, it's very straightforward, very simple. It's basically a PS4, just a lot faster. And I downloaded I downloaded Miles Morales in like 5 minutes, like the whole game in 5 minutes. I have good internet, but I think the console helped that too. Yeah,
because the SSD obviously contributes to, like, has a better write speeds and stuff, which is what I'm excited about, because things take fucking forever to download my PS4. Mm-hmm. What about Astro's Playroom? How's that so far?
Okay, so Astro's Playroom is really good. You guys know I love Astro, those little Astrobot guys, because the rescue mission was like 10 out of 10.
I mean, I know that James's favorite bot is the Hydrobot, not Astrobot, but yeah.
So it's a very simple, short game. It's only like 3 hours long. Basically, the whole game is mainly going through the level, and you collect the artifacts. The artifacts are really cool because they're all like old school PlayStation hardware. So you pick it up, and it's like PSP disc. Oh, it's a PlayStation 3 wand. Oh, it's a PSP. It's like it really takes you back in time with all the hardware. And there's somebody like me that's played PlayStation for over 20 years now. It's really cool seeing all the references and stuff. And throughout the level, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you do anything with the coins at all? Like, is there anything you could put the coins towards, or is it just like collecting coins for the sake of?
Well, there's a gacha machine, so you put the coins into that to get collectibles. There is no reason to get it except for to get the platinum, which is a pretty easy platinum. So, but you get to go in a laboratory and you get to like decorate the whole lab with all PlayStation references, like all the artifacts add up. So you get a big PS3, a big PS4. Pretty cool like that. In the levels, there's a ton, and I mean a ton of video game references. Everywhere you look, there's a video game reference. I've seen Bloodborne, Last of Us, God of War, Metal Gear Solid. It's crazy. Like Resident Evil. It has.
Yeah, I saw the Resident Evil one. Yeah.
Yeah, the humor is really subtle, but it's really funny. Like, because it's just very charming. You know what I mean? Like the Astrobot guys.
Yeah,
I love them.
So would you say that how far are you in the game? Are you
I'm like halfway already.
You're halfway? Okay. How is it compared to the first one?
Oh, well, the first one's better, obviously, because the first one does more VR. Like unique things, like I said on the Game Awards. But it's basically the same though. Like you hover with you jump on platforms and you can use like a little hoverboard, a jetpack, fly over the enemies. It's a very easy game, very accessible. Like if you die and you don't get penalized. There's no live system or anything like that. Like it's basically for like anyone really. Like little kids would probably really enjoy this too. But the star of the game is obviously the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. Obviously, it's so good. Like you feel like every level you're on ice, sand, water. You feel it, and like I'm not even exaggerating. You feel like you're there.
And like you've played like a little bit of Miles Morales to this point, and so like I assume because this game's whole point is to sort of show off the new features, that it's probably the best game that you can play to show off the new features.
Absolutely.
To test them out.
Yeah, it's basically a demo, but it has trophies and a platinum, so it is a real game. But I recommend this being your first PlayStation game. Like obviously we all want to jump right into Miles, but this game's only like 3 hours of your time. So
right,
yeah,
I recommend playing it first. And that's pretty much it. It's a really small, easy game. Fun game.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm excited to jump into that. That'll be my first game. Dory, you've been playing the new Kingdom Hearts game, correct?
So originally, I was not going to play this game, but then the free demo came out, and I played it, and I was like, all right, this is pretty good. It's not $60 worth, but it's pretty good. And then my partner Kim was like, "Oh, I love this. Like, can we get this?" I'm like, "I'm not willing to buy it for $60." She's like, "What if I put in $30?" All right, we'll get it. Rhythm games are not my thing. Yeah, I mean, I kind of grew up with Guitar Hero and Rock Band, but after Rock Band 2 on the Wii, I never played a rhythm game again. So I don't tend to play them too often. This is really good. Honestly, they've done a really good job turning. This 2020, y'all, turning Kingdom Hearts into a good rhythm game. This is why I'm saying they should just do a kart racer at this point. But anyway, I haven't seen any story. Sorry, what were we gonna say, James?
Kingdom Hearts is such a large franchise at this point. Like, is this their first rhythm game?
Yes, it's their first rhythm game. They were going to do it. A little bit of backstory. The Yoko Shimomura, who's the main composer for the series, did want it to happen, and Nomura wanted it to happen a long time ago. But I think there was just a lot of things they couldn't quite get right, or they didn't feel it was the right time.
Yeah.
And now with Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out, they feel like it's a much better time for them to look back at the series. I would almost say this is a perfect game to play if you've never played a Kingdom Hearts game, because it's very light on story. If you don't want to know how much story, just skip ahead here, but very mild spoiler. There's only 15 minutes of cutscenes in the whole game. It's very light story, but the scenes that are there, I've heard, I don't know, are very, very much worth your time. The gameplay is great. I have a lot of fun. One of my best moments so far is when I've just beat Kingdom Hearts 1. There are boss battles that are really challenging. I almost died, and I was on standard. And I'm not bad at this game. I've done a couple songs on Proud Mode, which is the hardest difficulty. And the game gets pretty intense. I mean, they're serious about this. If you can easily breeze by it if you want on beginner or even standard. But if you want to really play this game on Proud and like get everything perfect, you really need to bring your A game. So they're not messing around. This is not it's accessible, but it's it's that perfect combination of easy to learn, hard to master kind of game. And you can make it harder if you want, because you can add other buttons to press while you're pressing it. But basically how it works is Sora, Donald, and Goofy are going down a track of musical notes, and you press X, L1, or R1 in time with the given thing. You can press any of the 3 buttons for any of the 3 tracks. It doesn't really matter. As long as it's on time, you're good. I've already beaten Kingdom Hearts 1, like I said. The track selection's really good for the most part. It's a little limited per world. But honestly, I'm not too bothered by that because there are so many tracks that it doesn't really matter overall. The Kingdom Hearts songs, the originals, are really the hard ones. You don't really have to worry about the Disney songs for the most part. There are some exceptions. It took me a couple tries for Under the Sea, with on Proud Mode. But one of my favorite moments so far is when we got to Halloween Town for Kingdom Hearts 1, and I got to play This Is Halloween. That was a standout moment for me so far, because I was like, we're doing this on Proud. There's no way I'm not doing this on Proud. So it took me a couple tries, but I loved it. It was really fun. There are definitely moments where I'm like, I'm hoping I'm killing time so I get to the end a little faster, just because I don't want to lose more so than anything. But I think overall it's a really engaging game. It's really fun. Obviously, if you're expecting a huge graphical output, I don't know why you would be, but don't. It's not that super impressive looking, but it is really fun. And what it's supposed to do is be a good rhythm game. And I think so far, I've only played 2.5 hours of it, 3 hours. And it's about a 7-hour story, similar to Miles, which we'll talk about later. It's, I think it does it really well. So
is there more meat there than just the story?
Yes. Yes, there is a co-op mode, which my partner and I want to play. There's a versus mode as well. You can face off against each other. There's also online. I don't know how well that works. I haven't heard too much about that. And then there's also free. You don't have to do the single player. Once you do single player stuff and unlock certain tracks, you can just do a free play mode where you can just play any track you want and not have to worry about the story at all. But again, I mean, most of the cutscenes I've seen so far don't take place after Kingdom Hearts 3. They're just rehashing what happened, which I don't mind, whatever. Honestly, props to Alison Stoner, who is the voice of Kairi, because she is putting in that work. She is just about the only voice I've heard so far in the whole game. I think she is the only voice. And she's narrating a lot of stuff. I mean, like cumulatively anyway, like they're only like 15, 30-second scenes. But I mean, like over the whole course of a 7-hour game, like that's going to add up. So she's putting in that work right there. And she sounds great. So that's another great thing, is that's kind of why I say this is almost a perfect game if you want to play Kingdom Hearts for the first time, because the game itself is very accessible but hard to master, like I said. And also it goes over briefly, I mean very briefly, every single game in the Kingdom Hearts franchise. So it's a good if you want to get a first impression, but you don't want too many spoilers. I'd say, it's not a bad choice. You could do worse, but really, I mean, you should just start with Kingdom Hearts 1 and then go all the way through.
Yeah. Can you play as all the characters or just Sora?
Yes. So there are different teams. I have Sora, Donald, and Goofy, and I just unlocked Team Days, which is Axel. Axel, Roxas, and Shion. Thank you. Good Lord, I can never remember her name, which is ironic because the whole storyline about her.
How dare you?
But I know, right? Shion's great though. I love Shion. Yeah. Anyway,
you guys.
So I just unlocked Team Days. Sorry, Seb. What?
I said they wouldn't get that joke.
I know. So I just unlocked a different team, and I haven't really messed with that too much. I am going to play as them next. But there is a level up system. You can use items. Basically, you can set items before you go into a given thing. Like if you're going to play Proud, you might want to put on some potions. And basically, for every musical note you miss, enemies will attack you, and you'll take some damage. On Proud, it's a lot more damage, so you'll die faster. So you probably want to equip potions or mega potions. You can also summon Mickey Mouse, because of course you can. It's a Disney game. And there's other items as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's personally not for me, but if it has like major story elements, like with the master, the Master of Masters and all that.
Yeah.
Just let me know on the Discord, like what happened.
Yeah, I'll definitely tell you once I get to it. Like I said, there's only 15 minutes of cutscenes that are relevant to the overall story. But what I have heard is that those are chunky, like a chunky 15 minutes of like straight up plot dump, basically. So it seems like it'll have important stuff, but it's probably buried at the end after you beat all the worlds, which whatever. I'm enjoying it, so I don't mind.
Yeah.
But I wish they would like kind of put it sporadically throughout the game. But so far, I mean, I just beat Kingdom Hearts 1. I haven't gotten any story besides what I already knew about Kingdom Hearts. So it seems like once I beat Kingdom Hearts 3 in terms of Melody of Memory, I will probably, and the DLC, I will probably get to the story content. I've already zoomed the gummy ship. So basically the hub world of the whole thing is the galaxy map that you have in Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2. And mostly KH1. It looks very much like the KH1 Galaxy world or map. Excuse me. And so you can zoom all the way to the end from the get-go. You just can't unlock it. You don't have any of the worlds unlocked. But you can see, I mean, there are offshoots, to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories or Rechain of Memories. There's 358 over 2. It basically from Kingdom Hearts 1 to 3, it's a straight line, but then there are all these offshoots on the left and right that are like, here's this side game, here's this side game.
Does it do the mobile ones too? Like Key and all that?
I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. I've gotten as far as Rechain, and I'm just about to do that next. So once I do, I think I just did a Castle Oblivion track, which was really good. Some of these are really slow, so you can easily do them on proud mode. But yeah, that's mostly what I have to say about Melody of Memory. It's really good so far. I don't think it's going to be any of my top 5 lists or anything like that, but I'm enjoying it. It's
I mean,
fun.
ordinarily, I would assume that a developer, if they were making a game like this, where it's sort of a different genre than the main series, I would assume that they wouldn't put any sort of story in there that was important. But this is Kingdom Hearts.
This is Kingdom Hearts.
They put major story in the mobile games, and then they reference it in Kingdom Hearts 3 and stuff. So
yeah. It's Nomura's thing is he wants every single entry to have some meaning or importance, and that obviously can backfire in that not everyone wants to play it. But honestly, it's not that big of a cost anymore. It would have been like 10, 15 years ago when we didn't have YouTube. But I mean, like, as soon as the game came out, you had people posting. I haven't seen it. Don't tell me. But not that anyone here probably knows. But people have already put those cutscenes up. People have already put up their reactions. It's not hard to figure out what the story content is that you're missing. You don't have to buy the game.
Yeah, people
really only buy the game if you like rhythm games, which I think are okay, and you like Melody and you like Kingdom Hearts, which I do, of course. So I think it's a good buy if you're going to split it with someone. But I really don't think it's worth the $60 tag. I don't know why they sold it at $60.
Man.
Yeah, it's full price. And people complained about the frickin' DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3, which I thought was ridiculous because that boss rush, I mean, unless you don't like the boss rush, but if you like the boss rush, I was playing Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC for months, like 2 months, because the DLC is so hard on Critical that it kept me busy for a long time. I was like, this is absolutely worth $30. I've spent so many hours on these freaking bosses that will not die.
Right.
This, on the other hand, no. I beat Ansem at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 in Melody of Memory on my first try, barely, but I did. So I mean, it's just like the it's not worth it. It's not worth $60. If you really want the story content, just watch it on YouTube.
There's nothing scarier in Kingdom Hearts than when you're at like 1% health and it does like that ding. Absolutely. That's when your hands sweat and you're like, oh my god.
There's a video of me fighting the secret boss of Kingdom Hearts 3, and there was a good portion of it where I don't heal myself because I'm like trying to make sure I stay focused on the fight and not worry about my health and potion for a second, because honestly in some of those fights you can't even potion yourself or you're going to die. And one of my friends was watching and he was like, Dory, I knew you were going to win in the end, but oh my god, you would not heal yourself, and it was giving me such anxiety. I'm like, I'm sorry, I had to focus on the fight. Elixir. Anyway, Melody of Memory is really cool. I would recommend waiting till it goes on sale. The Kingdom Hearts franchise does periodically go on sale. You can sometimes get the story so far for $30, which is ridiculous because that's hundreds of hours of content. Even if you just play 1, 2, and 3, that's hundreds of hours of content.
True.
Yeah, that's nuts. So yeah, I've been playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, the series which keeps making their titles more and more ridiculous. So I've sort of dabbled in all three of the modes. So what do you guys want to hear about first?
I want to hear about the campaign.
Campaign.
Oh, okay. Okay, campaign it is.
Okay, 2-1 on the campaign. Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised by the campaign. So based on the sort of the multiplayer alpha and beta, it felt like this game was going a lot closer to Modern Warfare, last year's Modern Warfare, for me at least. I know a lot of people thought different, but for the story, for the campaign, it feels like they've gone sort of very, very close to the original Black Ops. It feels like they've gone back to the original Black Ops, and they're sort of using that as a jumping off point. Because I mean, it even opens up the exact same way as Black Ops. So, like the first mission in Black Ops, it was 10 years ago, so I wouldn't blame you if you don't remember. But that first mission is sort of the way it opens up is like it's a black screen, and then your character like flicks a lighter and you see the flame on screen and everything. And then like they open up this game the exact same way. So from the get-go that like they're using like they want to play this close to that game. They want you to Go on, Mitch.
Sorry, I was going to say, would you say it's more like it feels like they're actually paying respect to it, or are they just like sort of baiting for nostalgia and stuff in order for people to derive enjoyment from it?
Well, that's the thing that surprised me the most, right? Because you would think that it would just be a nostalgia grab, but like it really feels like a sequel to Black Ops, at least so far. Like I think I've played maybe half of it, and like it feels really it really grabs that tone that the original Black Ops had. It really does a great job of sort of feeling the same way, even though it's like the series has come so far and it feels so different now. I think the tone of it, like it's a bit ridiculous. It's like a big action movie, but it still has the tone of that era that it's set in, of like the Cold War and everything, and like Vietnam, and like it still really sort of grabs that aesthetic and everything.
Yeah, it's got an 82 on Metacritic, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so like
COD game,
like I was honestly surprised at like how much I enjoy this, because COD campaigns, they're hit or miss, and I wasn't expecting much from this one. But like the first mission, it's like you're walking up to a house and you think it's going to be like it reminded me a lot of that mission in Modern Warfare, last year's Modern Warfare, where you have to go and breach the house, and you're walking up to the house. It reminded me a lot of that. And then as soon as you get up to the house, they're like, all right, let's ruin this guy's day. And then you start shooting through everyone and just lighting up like an action movie. And then it instantly goes from being that Modern Warfare mission, and it turns into that mission from the original Black Ops, where you're running across rooftops, like chasing some guy,
Yeah.
Like, it feels just like that mission, and there's a lot of missions in this that feel just like those missions from Black Ops. Like you've got that mission where you have to fly a helicopter through Nam in the first one. Like they've got something very close to that as well, and it's like it's the same sort of thing that Modern Warfare did, where they were sort of ripping off levels from the original Modern Warfare from COD 4. But it feels like this time they've actually done it successfully. Like they've actually captured the magic of why those missions were a lot of fun, and it's so good. Like I'm honestly amazingly surprised. And like I had to talk about the Vietnam mission, because there's a mission. It was sort of in the story trailer, the first story trailer. It was just a short clip where you saw a helicopter getting blown out of the sky. But like you start this mission, you wake up, and like you walk out into the sort of there's the sunset, right, or the sunrise even. And it's like, it's so cliche, because you're on a military base in Vietnam. And it's like, if you've ever seen like Apocalypse Now or Full Metal Jacket, you know exactly what to expect. It's like, they really lean into the cliche. And it feels like it was made for me, because I love that stuff. Like, I was giddy at this. Like, so you walk out the base and you hear the helicopter blades whirling. And it's like, and you get into a chopper, and then they fire up the radio and CCR starts playing, like blasting. It's so loud that you can hardly hear people speaking over it. Mm-hmm. And you're flying in the chopper. You see other choppers like flying over the jungle in the sunrise, and it's just full on cliche. and like the whole mission is like that. And then you get to the end of it, and like no spoilers, but like you get an M60, and like the moment you pick up, because M60, like that's a weapon that's like synonymous with those sort of war movies and stuff. And like as soon as I picked up that weapon, I was like, I was jumping. I think I actually screamed out like, "Yes, holy shit, this is incredible!" Like it feels like they crawled into my head and they thought, you know, what does this guy want from a Call of Duty mission?
I would have loved to see that.
Is that?
Honestly, I actually just love how much you love this, James. It's good to see.
Yeah, I know. I was just I genuinely did scream out as well when I got that. Oh man, like it's because like my favorite sort of Battlefield game was the Vietnam DLC, because that also leaned fully into those sort of cliches and everything.
Yeah.
So I love all that stuff.
Yeah, Vietnam.
So I mean, honestly, that mission like was worth the price of admission alone for me. You know,
they don't do Vietnam enough. They always do World War II.
No, they really don't.
Yeah, there was a Vietnam game that came out a long time ago that everybody loved, and they just never do that war.
Yeah, I really wish they would, like, because I love that. I think even in like the original Black Ops, they didn't. I don't think they did enough cliche stuff.
Yeah.
From like, I want a whole game that's just a campaign that's just all of that.
So how's the story in the actors and stuff? Like, is it engaging or?
Yeah, so like the writing is probably the weakest part so far. Like I'm not going to say it's awful, like, because it's not entirely distracting, but every now and then there's a line where it's like, you know, people don't really talk like that. That's a bit, you know, it sort of removes your suspension of disbelief. But on the whole, it's fine. It's more about the set pieces, you know, because it does lean into that sort of. It's Call of Duty. It's a bunch of action. Yeah. But yeah, the main thing with the actors is like it's quite noticeable sometimes. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes you don't notice, but it's quite noticeable sometimes that like Woods and Hudson, obviously characters from the original, are being played by different actors in this one.
Yeah.
So that is a shame, but I think they do a decent job. If you haven't played Black Ops in a while, you probably maybe wouldn't notice.
So what made you play the PS4 version and not the PS5 version? Just because you couldn't wait? Mainly because I wanted there was coverage that I wanted to do for the game for the channel. I gotcha.
But yeah, also because there's so much stuff for the PS5 that I'm going to be playing on day one, and if I had the opportunity to play this now and get it out of the way, and also I could get it £5 cheaper if I got the cross-gen bundle, because the cross-gen bundle is £65 and the PS5 version is 70, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because you get both versions cheaper than the PS5 version. But anyway, I'm really.
Was it at least like made for like this gen? Like, was it the frame rate good and the graphics great and everything like that? Like,
yeah. So what I was like just about to say was. Yeah. It feels, you know, fine when you're actually playing it, but they have those sort of motion captured cutscenes that they had in Modern Warfare that look absolutely phenomenal. They look even better in this. They're photorealistic almost. If it wasn't for that uncanny valley stuff, you'd think it was real life. But unfortunately, on PS4, that does mean that pretty much all of those cutscenes are extremely choppy. Like they go down to like 10 FPS or less.
Oh.
It's really bad. Like you end up with the voices out of sync and everything like that. So yeah, I would play on PS5 if you have that option. But I think this might be like a result of the pandemic and the fact that they couldn't do motion capture. But a lot of the cutscenes have that sort of old school Call of Duty thing where it's just a bunch of imagery thrown up on screen. Like a bunch of B-roll and stuff, and it's people talking over it. And honestly, whether that was an intentional choice or just because they couldn't do motion capture, I think it works a lot better. I prefer that. I think Call of Duty was always better when they did that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like for the campaign, they've got more character customization in this one, where you can give yourself traits and that sort of stuff, like for faster reloads and aiming down sights and stuff like that, which are sort of leaned into personality traits, which is quite nice. But yeah, other than that, they've got some sort of choices at the end of missions. Like if you get to the end of a mission and you're chasing some guy, you can like capture him, let him go, or kill him. And I haven't seen the results of any of that stuff. Maybe you just get more intel for like side missions and stuff. But yeah, I'm not sure what the result of that is. But other than that, oh yeah, the stealth missions. They have stealth missions to sort of break up the pacing. They feel quite a lot like Wolfenstein. If you played like the New Order or the New Colossus, the new Wolfenstein games, it kind of feels like when they do stealth in those games, which is a compliment because they do stealth really well in those games, I think. They also, just to run through a couple of last things, like they have probably the worst lockpicking minigame I've ever seen. Like I know people hate lockpicking minigames. I quite like lockpicking minigames usually.
It depends.
This one, literally, all you're doing is turning the right analog stick. That's all. That's it. So,
what would our friend Captain Stubbs think of these lockpicking games?
He probably wouldn't like them at all. For context, Stubbs is a locksmith. So, but yeah. Also, you can go and obviously it's like the 70s, right? So you have you can go and play Activision Arcade. Like you'll run into arcade machines every now and then. They've got Activision arcade games on them, like Pitfall, and all those other ones, So yeah, but that's I like when they do that because they did that in the Wolfenstein games as well, where you could play Doom and the old Wolfenstein. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the campaign.
How long is it? The campaign, like, is it standard?
I have no bloody clue. I haven't finished it yet. But I would imagine it's probably standard Call of Duty length.
I was gonna say from reviews and stuff I've heard, it's quite short, but apparently there's choices and stuff. So I'm guessing that the devs are banking on the fact that people are going to go back and replay missions to choose.
Yeah, because you can go back. Yeah, because they have things you can collect in missions, which it's like intel that will make side missions easier because they have side missions. So yeah, I assume there's like replayability in that stuff. It kind of feels like they've taken like the stuff that worked from like the Infinite Warfare campaign and applied that. But yeah, I'm really, honestly, they should have Raven. They should have Raven make all the fucking campaigns. Really.
Oh, so it's not Treyarch making this one?
No, the campaign was made by Raven in this one. Yeah, Treyarch made the multiplayer, and I think they made the zombies as well. Which I'll get into the zombies now because Mitch, you wanted to hear about the zombies, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So zombies was one of my favorite modes in in World at War and in Black Ops. After that, I didn't like the direction they took it in. I thought it was a bit rubbish. I know people like them more recently, but I didn't like how they sort of leaned into the Easter eggs and sort of threw them in your face and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it really feels like the same sort of story with the zombies as I was talking about with the campaign, is they've gone back to Black Ops and used that as a jumping off point. Like, it really feels like they've taken what was good about zombies in that game, which was, in my opinion, the peak of the zombies mode, and instead of trying to reinvent it, they've sort of made adjustments from there when it was good. So you've got the one map that's available other than Dead Ops Arcade, which I haven't tried yet. It's got the original zombie map, the very first one, Nakter and Toten, in the center of the map, and they've sort of expanded upon that, and you can roam around the outside area, so they made it a bit bigger. And there's a whole they still have like that Easter egg stuff, and they still have the story, but I like the way that it's implemented now, where it's like they have like people back at HQ or whatever talking to you over like communications. So it's a wee box in the corner of your screen, and they're sort of talking to you as you play, and you can easily ignore that stuff, and that's just in the earlier rounds, unless you go and do that sort of story stuff. But it's a lot easier to ignore that stuff now, I think. So I really like the way that they've done that in this one, and just in general, the aesthetic. I wrote a thing about why I like this so much that'll be hopefully coming out at some point, where I basically said it kind of reminds me of James Gunn's upcoming Suicide Squad film, where it's very bloody and brutal, but at the same time almost whimsical. There's a lot of sort of comedy in the tone, Like you've got like an underground sort of base that's covered in blood and stuff, and there's zombies, but then you've got this like colorful perk machine slapped right in the middle of it, almost comically. And it, like a lot of it feels like that sort of tone. Like you go through like this teleporter, which is part of the story thing, I think, and it takes you to this alternate dimension where there's jellyfish flying in the sky, and it feels like a bad trip, you know. But it's honestly like everything that they've sort of done feels like they've made good innovations off of that original Black Ops formula. And honestly, like I'm blown away because I expected it to be rubbish, but I'm blown away by how much I actually have enjoyed it. Yep.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
But yeah, I also tried a little bit of the multiplayer, which I won't spend too long on because my thoughts haven't changed too much from the alpha and beta. But I do want to say that the first few matches that I played, I got absolutely pummeled. And like the thing is, right, the multiplayer is my least favorite part of the package here, and it's probably the main part. Like the thing is, most people buy Call of Duty for the multiplayer, right? So
yeah.
I mean that's kind of a big thing, but it is definitely my least favorite part.
Yeah, I was going. Sorry, sorry to interject, but I was going to say, like, from when I played the beta and the alpha, I think even like with the beta, when I was actually enjoying it more, I think I still thought that it was incredibly average. It didn't offer anything that made me go, yeah, I think I should spend however much money on it or whatever.
Yeah,
on Christmas sales. It feels.
The thing is, right, one, like, the players in it, people who play Call of Duty these days are incredibly good, and I'm not. And losing is not fun in this game, as I've said in the past. And I'm not a fan of the time to kill, because it really feels like you're shooting pea shooters. Like, it takes too long to kill, in my opinion. But, like, when I was playing Modern Warfare, because Modern Warfare feels quite similar, right? When I was playing Modern Warfare, I actually enjoyed that game quite a lot with the multiplayer because I found that I could do quite well if I played, because like COD players, right, they sort of jump around corners and they crawl to the ground, they drop to the ground to shoot you and stuff, and they use all these tactics, and I was never very good at that stuff, and I always hated that stuff. So
yeah,
I found that I could do quite well in Modern Warfare if I played cautiously, aimed down my sights like almost constantly and just moved around the map like that, so I was ready to fire when I saw an enemy. That doesn't work in this game. Like the game feels very similar to Modern Warfare, except for the fact that you can't do that because it's a lot more sort of run and gun and that sort of thing. Like you can't do that thing where you can lean around corners like you can in Modern Warfare. It's not about that sort of stuff. It's more run and gun. And a friend of mine, actually, who's also been playing, put it better than I ever could. He said he's never been slapped about so comfortably while playing COD, which is which is absolutely true, because anytime I jump into a multiplayer match, I'm just getting absolutely annihilated, and it feels like there's nothing I can do to stop that happening.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with like Black Ops 4 as well, and to some extent Modern Warfare, is that like the past few COD games have been incredibly unbalanced with certain like guns and strategies and the maps. I mean, feel free to say, because I don't think they had all of them in the beta and whatnot, but I did not like the maps at all in the beta.
From what I've played so far, I don't think I've played either, because there's not. I think there's only 2 new maps that weren't in the beta or something like that. But yeah, so I haven't played those, but I agree with you. There is something about the map design that is not that really isn't good. I don't know. I can't pinpoint what it is, but there's something.
I think for me, it's the fact that snipers are super overpowered, and the fact that the maps are all very much much more wide and open.
Yeah, and like I was actually
snipers,
I was actually playing a game of Search and Destroy earlier, before we got on here, and we were getting destroyed 4-0, and I thought to myself, I hadn't gotten a kill yet, and I thought to myself, all right, this time, it was the start of the round, I thought, this time, If I give it my best, if I really try, I can maybe get a kill this round. I really feel it coming. 2 seconds later, I run around a corner, get sniped before I even see the guy. I'm just dead. Which is like, it's just, that's like the whole experience. It feels like in multiplayer, you're going up against people who are just walking over you constantly. Like it feels like you're on the ground. You're just getting kicked over and over again. So yeah, I'm really not a fan of the multiplayer. I think when I get it on PS5, when I get my PS5, I'll just install the zombies, and that'll be it.
Yeah,
because I'll have finished the campaign by then. But yeah, I probably won't waste the storage space on the multiplayer for that. But yeah, that's pretty much the only thoughts I had. I will say actually that I had a glimmer of hope when I booted it up and I realized that there was more score streaks that weren't in the beta. They have like the combat bow, which is basically just a bow and arrow with fire arrows as one of the early score streaks, actually the earliest score streak. And I thought, oh, do you know what? Maybe that'll be fun because I quite liked using the bow in Black Ops 4, so I think that'll be fun. I got my first bow, I pulled it out. Robin Hood couldn't land a shot with this thing. It's not good at all. It feels so inaccurate, but yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much that. So zombies and campaign incredibly good so far. Absolutely in love with them. Multiplayer, maybe not. I'd pass on it. But you three have been playing Miles Morales, which I have not. And I'm very sad about that. But how's it? So how's it playing? Let's talk about like just the game in general rather than the PS5 stuff first. So like, Mitch, how's it? How you thinking? How you feeling about it?
Well, I beat the game yesterday pretty much in one sitting. The story only lasts about 7 to 8 hours. What a
sad act, man. He's already beat the game. It only came out a couple days ago.
I've almost beat the game myself.
No. Yeah, it's not long at all. Like I think
it's not.
It's not. You can beat it in 7 to 8 hours, and even then, I did a few of the like more lengthier side missions and stuff. So it's a short game, but I think like I don't mind it as much. Like there's other than like maybe like 1 or 2 characters that I think kind of get left by the wayside and stuff. I don't really think they needed to add anything more in the story. Like maybe an hour or 2 extra, but even then, that would have just been filler. But I think the biggest thing I can say with the story is that it's majority of the missions all happen in Harlem. Like that one, like at the top of the map, majority of like the major story beats happen in Harlem. So, but with that, you quickly become like accustomed to like the layout of the city and the streets, and like Miles, who's new to it, you kind of like experience it in hand with Miles, in the fact that it's like, okay, I'm getting used to this new environment. I'm getting used to the people, and which I think without spoiling it, I'd say sorry, first of all, I'm getting sidetracked. First of all, the side missions of like the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man app, you can like, they have little side missions and tasks and stuff you can do. I'd say do all the main like blue side missions before you actually complete the story, because the characters, without spoiling it, the characters you meet in that come back in a pretty nice and like emotionally weighty manner in the final mission.
Wow. And
I'd say if you didn't do any of the side missions, I'd say that impact would kind of be lost without it.
I'd also recommend doing the Friendly Spider-Man app, because it's honestly incredibly easy to use. All you do is flip the UI for side missions in this game is phenomenal, and it's way better than the original. And the original didn't even have that bad of a UI for it, so that's saying something. But it's incredibly easy to use. None of them take longer than 10 minutes. They're all pretty easy and simple. I mean, I got stuck a couple of times, but eventually I figured it out, or I was being hard-headed. Anyway, Mitch.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, and like more on the side content. The side content and side missions especially are 10 times better than they were in the original.
Yes.
Because I remember in the first game, all the side missions and stuff felt like really just lazily put in there. Like they were put in like the last few months of development. Like they didn't add anything really. They were just kind of like random stuff that, okay, I guess I'll complete these in the side game. But no, as I said earlier, all the majority of the characters you meet in the side missions come back in the story, and it's a really great moment that actually kind of reminds me of like the Sam Raimi movies. So like that's kind of like the tone they're setting with that. What else? I will say more on Miles as well. I'd say his new power sets, so you've got the camouflage and his venom attacks, they're all integrated into like the gameplay, and it completely revitalizes the gameplay. Like I can't imagine another Spider-Man game without them, really. Like I mean, in gameplay, you've got all the venom powers that can do like AoE attacks and stun damage and stuff. And then for stealth, you've got the camouflage and all that, which obviously you can go behind and stealth attack enemies without anyone seeing you and make some quick escapes. And then, but for the traversal, surprisingly enough, they actually integrate the venom powers into traversal, so you can, if you're doing air tricks and stuff, you can use venom powers to give you, a huge boost in height or altitude, or you can use it to give you a speed boost. Like it really makes the web swinging just that much better, and I can't imagine what they're going to do with Peter in the next game to kind of like make up for that fact, because Miles' swing is great.
I honestly think they will probably just have you switch between Peter and Miles. I can't imagine doing anything else.
Thing, yeah.
I think you'll be able to play as both of them because I want to say one thing really important about this game is that Miles actually feels like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Peter felt like he was trying to be a neighborhood Spider-Man in the last game. And, I'm not going to say he completely botched it or whatever, but he was more so often helping New York City. He wasn't really helping the neighborhood he lived in. But Miles is actually helping the neighborhood he lives in. The side missions are actually...
To be fair, he's more established. Like Miles.
Sure. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I was gonna say, like even though I haven't played it, like that makes sense to me from a character perspective because Peter's like 7 years on the job. He's done he's probably more jaded, So like he still tries to be that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but he's maybe not anymore. He's got sort of bigger ambitions. But Miles, he's sort of starting out, and he's sort of like if he sees a cat up a tree, he's gonna go and help the cat because he wants to be the hero and everything.
It's funny you mention a cat, but I won't say too much. But I mean that's true. I don't think Peter's jaded. I don't think that's the wrong word, but I get what you're saying. Sure. I do
He's
think that more experienced. I do think that that's fair, but it can be frustrating because Peter seems to help more. I just feel like he should drop the monkey air then if he's not really doing the neighborhood, because it really feels like Miles is the one who's actually helping Harlem, which is where Miles has recently moved to when the game starts. But regardless, I really back a lot of what Mitch is saying. The side missions are done a lot better. I didn't feel like they were super tacked on the first one, but there were definitely some, like the pigeon one, that was just really dumb. And the pigeon one, it actually shows up in this game. I won't say too much, but they actually make it come back in a way that works in a way.
It's better than the first game.
It's shorter too. Well,
I want to know
in the first game, like it's another collectathon basically. It's like you initiate this and then go and collect like 8 or 12 or whatever birds around the city. In this one, it's like a linear side mission or whatever where you just need to find 3 of them, but it actually as you get each one of them, I mean, you get like a nice little narration from like a pre-recorded narration from Peter where he lists
pigeon facts,
which is great. But also, with each new pigeon, you slowly unravel like a little conspiracy to rob like a bank or something, and you realize that they're using them as courier pigeons and stuff. It's like a pretty cool side mission. I won't lie.
It's actually kind of inventive. Seb, we've been talking forever.
Yeah.
I want to quickly interject, sorry, and ask about the pigeons. Are they do they look better this time? Because they were very low textured.
They look better, I think. I didn't notice.
You guys didn't stop and open photo mode and grab a pigeon pic?
No, I didn't. But I will say, just mentioning textures, I'm gonna this game, even like on a base PS4, the game looks a lot better than the first game. And I think. Yeah, and even then, it's like the loading screens, because I saw with PS5 footage,
it's non-existent. It's almost non-existent.
There's no loading screens, and I'm like, okay, that's going to be a PS5 only feature because there's no way they can load that one mission area and the city seamlessly. I thought, like, okay, that's the SSD doing it. But no, it's in the PS4 version as well.
I was at the scene where you come out of that warehouse, that video where there's almost no load time at all. There was no load time, period. Like, it didn't matter if you were on the PS4 or PS5. On one hand, that's really cool. On the other, I don't know if that makes it less worth it to buy the PS5. But Seb could talk about that.
Yeah. Sorry. Before Seb.
God damn it! Someone let Seb talk. Let this man speak.
That's a second segue you're ruined.
I know. I'm sorry. Last point I will mention is I think the stealth in this game is probably the best stealth in a superhero game.
Ooh.
Yeah,
like period.
I would agree with that. I think it's very close. I think it's very close to Arkham City, if not better.
Well, I think because I was going to mention the Arkham games because in the Arkham games, if you get spotted, really your only option is to go away and hide. Like there's no like it's completely like a binary choice pretty much unless you want to die.
Yeah.
In Miles Morales, you actually have the wiggle room to say if you stuff up a stealth encounter, you can either I can go into a combat encounter from here and I can engage it that way, or I can just camouflage and go back into stealth. Like it gives you more of like that freedom to choose and actually tailor the stealth arenas in your own way. Not to mention like the stealth arenas are huge in this game. Like they're huge. So that helps as well. But yeah, like I think the stealth section of this game give you the freedom of choice, which Arkham doesn't usually have. Like it only has the gadgets I guess you could use, but even then I think majority of the time people just go away and just go and stealth take down people. Like that's the main strategy to win. But with Miles Morales it's super fun. Like there's plenty of stuff you can do. Anyways, insert crappy segue here. Seb, go ahead.
Alright, well, PS5 version is the premier game of the console, and it really shows it, because, man, in fidelity mode, the ray tracing is so beautiful, like, the reflections and everything, it really feels like a next-gen graphic-wise.
Good for photo mode, yeah.
Yeah, but I prefer to play in performance mode in 60 frames per second, is that it runs so smooth like butter. Like, it truly feels like next gen. I would say play the game in performance mode if you're gonna play it on PS5. Personally,
I think what I would do is play in performance mode when I'm playing it, and then if I wanted to go on a photo shoot, change to the ray tracing.
Well, they actually it automatically turns on ray tracing whenever you are in photo mode. So even if you're playing,
shit, that's clever!
Wow,
that's incredible.
Yeah, I just saw that
game of the year.
But so I'm sure it looks great on the PS4 version. But seeing that first sequence of the Rhino in the mall in 60 frames per second was like probably one of the most next gen thing I've ever seen. Like it felt like I put it on the note. I felt like a ride at like Disney World or Universal Studios. Like I was so blown away. Like I was like, oh my god, this really is next gen. And then you can feel, you feel every crash. In every swing in your hand because the DualSense, it's mind blowing. Like this is truly the game of the console right now.
Seb, does that get tiring to feel that feeling, or is it a good feeling when you're swinging around? Like
you get used to it, but it sometimes your hand might get a little numb because you're so used to your hand vibrating because every part of the controller like shakes in some way. Like I mean, it's never just one rumble. It's all over the place.
Right.
But you get used to it. The adaptive triggers are really cool for the swinging because it really feels like you're swinging. It kind of like locks you in. It doesn't go all the way down, kind of thing. So you kind of feel like you're.
See, for like that has been my concern about the adaptive triggers, though. Like as much as I'm excited for that feature, like when I'm playing Gran Turismo, like I think one of my controllers has a problem where the R2 button, unless I really push it down, it doesn't like register all the way. Obviously with a racing game, it's got different levels, like depending on how far you press it, that's how much you'll accelerate and that sort of thing. So a lot of races, if I'm using that controller, I'll have the right trigger pulled down, like I'll be holding it quite tightly, and that'll eventually start to,
I'm sure
my finger will start to get tired eventually. So that was like my one concern about the adaptive trigger. Like
I'm sure it will be different with like a racing game. I'm sure they try to simulate whatever you're doing. So
but yeah, it's like, do you see that like getting? Do you see any of the adaptive trigger stuff sort of getting tiring?
No, not at all. Like you would think you would. The only thing I've noticed is my hand gets a little kind of like, I don't know. It's a weird feeling of because it vibrates so much. You kind of get like this numbness. But other than that, like, but you get used to it. So it's really not an issue. It's actually great, honestly.
I don't have many criticisms of the game, and I'm pretty much done with it. I think for the most part, it delivers and then some, and actually improves on the original in a couple of key ways. But I think the only I've run into a couple of bugs, but I've run into a couple of bugs, and I actually got stuck in a building once and couldn't get out and had to reload from checkpoint, which was very funny. I was just trapped in this building from the inside. It was very strange. And then I had it was funny. Someone came on my stream and asked me how the game was. I was like, "Oh, it's great. Hey, another crime just opened up. Let me show you how it works." And the guys got stuck in the car and they wouldn't go. And I tried to like attack them while they were in the car, but they just wouldn't go. So I had to just abandon the mission. But that's it. I mean, I've only had those. And Miles had a difficult graphical transition from his suit to his normal wear. First, it seemed like he was like was just showing his neck and his head, but his coat wasn't there, so it was weird. But by and large, I haven't run into any issues in my 7 hours of play. That's the only 3 things I've seen. Yeah. So
I was going to say, for me, I think the game froze twice for me. Yeah. And I think there were a few instances where like you had an enemy clipping into like a pole or something to the point where it's like I couldn't actually fight them, but they eventually got themselves unstuck. And I think I'm not surprised at all considering how good the game looks, but I think like there are a few, when the combat gets intense on the PS4, I did have a few like subtle frame drops. Mm-hmm. Like I think on the bridge sequence, that was like really the only moment where I actually realized, okay, the frame rate is starting to stutter.
Right.
But like they're not major problem. Like other than the freezing, there's no major.
Yeah, it's pretty minor stuff.
So you guys... The freezing is actually an attack from Mr. Freeze when you fight him.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. So I'll see y'all later.
So did you guys see like? Did it feel like a PS5 game that was downgraded, or you couldn't even tell? It feels like a.
I couldn't tell. Honestly, it seemed like. Oh, sorry, Mitch. Go.
I was going to say it feels like a very high-end PS4 game that I can easily see being even better on PS5.
Yes, exactly that. I think it looks stunning. I don't think it looks like, I don't know, a lesser version of PS5. I do want to say for story stuff, because we haven't talked too much about the story. Story is very good. It's very heartwarming. It's not like groundbreaking. It's not transgressing any norms or anything. Don't expect Last of Us Part 2, obviously, although the Troy Baker is in it. And he's very good. He's very good. He makes a terrific asshole. But voice wise, I mean,
the first 5 minutes, he's like, "Oh, it's Troy Baker." Like first 5 minutes.
I didn't actually hear Troy Baker at first. I actually had someone else to say that it was Troy Baker.
Really?
I don't know.
Using his normal voice.
Once somebody said it, I was like, "Oh, I hear that." But before then, I didn't hear it, and I didn't know he was in the game either. I probably did, but I forgot.
Do you know what we should do on the last podcast of the year? We should all make a bet for how many games we think Troy Baker will appear in next year,
and how many of those will be with Nolan North.
99% of them. But so yeah, like the PS5 and the PS4 versions have different trophy lists. So when you guys do get your PS5, I do recommend playing it again.
And, nice.
Because it really is. Because it's 60 playing it. Yeah, it is. Oh, I don't go on a tangent, but one thing I've noticed is that the PS4 and the PS5 have used different size photos. So the PS4 games are in widescreen, and the PS5 pictures are blown up. So when you go on like trophy list websites and stuff, you'll see the difference. But yeah, so the PS5 trophy for the PS5 trophy list for Miles is like a spider, and the PS4 one actually shows Miles in the picture. So they all have their own unique trophy list.
Gotcha.
So. But yeah, so I recommend playing it again in 60 frames when you guys.
Yeah, I will definitely be playing it on the PS5, or maybe if I ever have the money, the PS5 version. But I'm definitely considering 100%ing it and even platinuming it, maybe.
Yeah, platinum's pretty easy.
Probably platinum it, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
you gotta do two. Oh, go ahead, you go, Mitch. Sorry.
I was gonna say it seems like it's gonna be like a harder platinum than the first game, because the first game was really just 100% completing it. But I think it's like, obviously you're about to say, it requires you to beat the game twice, like with New Game Plus. So
right, and I mean, but that just equals playing Spider-Man the original once, right?
They said if you skip all the cutscenes and stuff, and you're gonna be fully maxed out and stuff, because you can keep your skills. You can beat the game. You can beat the game in 3 hours if you were speeding.
Yeah, speedrunners are gonna have a field day with this game. I can already tell. I'm already thinking about speedrunning tactics. Yeah. As I'm doing it, not that I'm particularly good at that stuff, obviously, at my first run, but I could see myself even speedrunning this game, because it's already such a short game that if you skip cutscenes and you have, especially if it's New Game Plus, you could plow through this game. Yeah,
one thing
it wouldn't be hard at all.
I will say, I will say back to the story again. I think, as I alluded to earlier, like, it's a very small scale story, and as Dory said, it doesn't do anything spectacular. You know, like it's a really good story, but it's like, it's nothing that's gonna blow you away or anything. But I think it's definitely something that you should at least buy or look into before you play the inevitable sequel, because it does have a couple of teasers to the sequel. One very cool one, it's got a I won't say anymore, but it's got couple very cool teasers to the sequel. So I'm very excited.
I also would have your expectations about the amount of villains in this game tempered. This is Spider-Man 1.5. The Sinister Six are not descending from the heavens again from the raft. Venom and Carnage are not going to suddenly appear in this game, as far as I know, are not going to appear in this game. Like, keep your expectations about how many villains are going to be in this game, reasonable. I know there are definitely some people who are disappointed, but I mean, I'm okay with it, because again, I understand it's basically Spider-Man 1.5. And we'll have to wait until 2 to really get the heavy hitters. But for what it is, I think there are some really solid villains in this game. There's just not a ton of them, and I understand people are a little let down, because the last time we got Sinister Six, and that was awesome. And we also got some teases at the end of the original Spider-Man. But this isn't that. Don't think it's going to be that. But the story is really good, and there are some twists, or there's one twist in particular that I didn't see coming. I thought was really handled really well. There's also some ASL representation, which is awesome. I don't know a ton of ASL, but I took a few semesters, and that is really cool. There's a side mission that involves someone who is deaf, and you can get narration with them if you want to hear what they're saying, and you actually hear a deaf person talking, saying the lines. It's really cool. It's phenomenal little bits of representation. There's an awesome there's so much good stuff in this that I don't want to say too much more, but I'm loving it. I think it's great. I think one of the last things I just did was this really intense fight, and I won't say anything specific about it, but I was getting really frustrated because the stealth bar is in the top right and everything else is in the top left. So I kept forgetting to go invisible. So it made the fight way more frustrating than it should have been. But I think that's maybe, and Mitch knows what fight I'm talking about, but I think that's maybe more of a me thing than a game thing. So I think I'll do better if I do New Game Plus. But it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I was going to say two last things before we wrap up. I think you using all of Miles' abilities in tandem with one another is really the way to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got the gadgets, you've got his powers, you've got the invisibility, everything. Once you work all of those in tandem with one another, it's super fun. And I think I was going to say that there's a couple twists in the game. I won't spoil them, of course, but it's like they're both really obvious to me, at least. I think, but they use people's expectations to their advantage and say they don't. It's not like a CW show or whatever where they hold out the big reveal to the very end. They sprinkle reveals throughout the story to constantly keep you engaged. So,
is the spoiler the Prowler or anything like that? Is that kind of my guessing?
It's
that was this twist in the movie.
No.
Yeah, I want to say. I mean, Aaron Davis is in the he's in the film too, but he is in the game. And I think the way they handle his character so far, I mean, it's obvious that they're gonna. It's a Miles Morales game that'd be like having a Peter Parker game and not putting Mary Jane or bad comparison, but you know what I mean, like not putting Green Goblin or something.
I know what you mean,
yeah. So I one other thing I want to say is that the side missions actually feel impactful because you get little. I guess this wasn't in the original. I thought it was, but Mitch says it isn't. But in the original, I guess when you do those side activities, you don't always get tokens to build up your mods and your suits.
You don't get tokens. I don't think you just get you get XP in the side missions.
Okay. Yeah. So in this game, you not only get XP and obviously you get to play more of the game, which I mean, to me is just an instant win. You also get these little tokens that help you get new mods to your suits, new gadget upgrades, new suits. It makes doing these side activities even more worth it. I think it would be worth it even without them, to be clear, because I think they are actually pretty varied, generally speaking. I think this is where Miles's shorter story time actually works to its advantage, is that they don't have to do a million side quests. They just have to do like 15 or 20 and call it a day. And I think that works to their advantage because they get to make a smaller list of side missions, and they actually get to make each individual one stand out. I'm not saying they're fantastic or Witcher 3 level or something like that, but they are good, and at worst, they are decent. And they're never really anything less than that.
I'd say weirdly enough, the best comparison I could make between this Miles and the first game is between the first two BioShock games, where the first game had a phenomenal story. It was like, it was big. Then you had the second one, which probably didn't have as great of a story. That probably didn't break as much ground as the first one, but it streamlined a lot of the stuff. The gameplay was arguably better. Basically, it's a refinement of the first, basically, is what I can say. Miles Morales is, but I think it does a lot of its refinements and stuff just as great, if not better, than the original. So yeah.
I think this is already in my top 5 of the year, and it's not going to be number 1 because nothing's being Last of Us Part 2, but it's probably going to be my top 3. I really love this game. I really love what they did with Miles. I haven't read any of the critical pieces on Vice or on there's another site that has another critical review of it in terms of how realistic it is with police and stuff, and I think that is something that should be explored because I don't think it goes into enough with that. But
actually, I was going to say, I don't remember much police actually interaction and stuff in the game.
There isn't a ton. And anything that is there is mostly positive or just telling him to go scram or just like, hey, get out of our investigation.
You guys hit on everything, but what I love about the game also is the representation, like you mentioned earlier, is that like his mom is speaking Spanish to him and he speaks Spanish back to her. And then you said there's sign language.
It's really good representation.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, crime notwithstanding, it actually made me want to go and live in Harlem. Like, it seems like a great culturally diverse place. Like they showed in the trailer that's like the little festival or whatever, the rally they have where you go by all the street markets and all that. I'm like, this is great.
Harlem had a huge renaissance to get in a bit of a tangent, but Harlem had a great renaissance of black culture and black art, especially in the 20s and 30s with jazz and poetry and literature and stuff like that. And I've actually been learning about this semester, basically, partially. And so, it's always been a great place in New York City if you want that kind of culture.
It's a hard place to
which
live
I think everybody should get more of in their life.
It is a hard place to live too, though. It's very low income.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a really tough place.
And I think they do at least comment slightly of the political realities of things like housing issues, gentrification, landlords. Obviously, they talk about how corporations are evil. Because every big corporation needs to have a game about how corporations are evil, which seems counterproductive. But hey,
they have D corporation, they have Oscorp. So.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, they have Oscorp, but this time they have Roxxon. And I won't say too much about them, but they're of course more is going on than what you see. But yeah, I think it's great. It just makes me, to quote Simon Miller from What Culture Wrestling, it makes me feel good in my tum tum.
What a reference.
It's just a feel good game. It's really wholesome. It's really excellent to me, and I love it so far.
Presumably, it makes you feel like Spider-Man.
Presumably, I was actually thinking we do a bit where I'm just about to say it really makes you feel like, and somebody just cuts me off. No, we're not doing that. And then just the review abruptly ends.
Is this the Dark Souls of Spider-Man games?
That's right.
Yeah.
So you guys are all hot on it, yeah?
Yeah, very good.
I am.
Especially the the PS5 version. It's even better, obviously, because PS5. But
that's why I haven't played it.
If you can get a PS5, play that version. But obviously, if you don't have it, you're still getting a great version, I'm sure. So
yeah. Bottom line is, if you love the last game, obviously play this game. If you love comic book games, if you liked Into the Spider-Verse, I do want to briefly mention the Into the Spider-Verse suit is a national treasure. It needs to be protected at all costs. It looks phenomenal. The Vibe the Verse suit mod that you can get that makes you actually, like, you don't have to move like you were in the movie. You can take that on or off, and you can actually apply that to any of the suits, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes you actually look like you're, yeah, I think it looks awesome, and it's really cool. I played it like that for a good hour or two, and I was like, I don't know that anything is going to beat that. And then Miles gets a different suit. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, that's really good too. There's a lot of good suits in the game, and I've already cycled through 3 or 4 of them, being like, well, there's no way that the game can do any better than this, and then it does comparable, if not better. So it's just, and this is the last thing I'll say. There have been so many times I have said, that's so cool, or this is so cool, or that's so awesome. I have said that so many times, and I'm still like 7 hours into the game, and it's still impressing me, right? Like, I'll do a combo, and then I'll go into a swinging kick, and then I'll jump over to the guy, and then punch him some more and knock him to the ground. And I'm like, this combat's amazing. Like, this combat is somehow even better than it was before, and I loved the combat in the original. So it's just, it's so good.
I'm also, on a quick note, I'm also excited to play the remaster of the original game, because I can play that in 60 frames and stuff too, and it looks phenomenal as well. So I'm excited to take on all the Spider-Man I can get. You know what I mean? So
I can't. Yeah, great. Looks so weird. He looks so weird. You get to see him in this game for the first time, and he looks so flippin' weird. I'm sorry.
I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to it.
I
can't get used to it. I'm sorry.
No, I can't get used to it. Honestly. I don't think I can get used to it, because I got used to that one screenshot that they posted, but like seeing him in motion, I think it's going to be.
It's hard weird.
It's weird. I think he looks better. I think he looks better in motion than in Actually, no. Oh, good. I was just about to spoil something, but yeah, no.
We should just stop before we get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, stop.
Yeah.
Okay. I almost hit the stop recording, like the mute button.
Okay, so that's gonna be fun. I look forward to playing that myself when I get my PS5. So yeah, I think that wraps up the show this week. Lots of great games. God, next gen, man, like the strongest next gen lineup I think ever.
Yeah,
possibly.
It's really good.
So yeah, hopefully next week we'll have more impressions of some other games that have come out this week and next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'll hopefully have some Call of Duty coverage up this week, and we should have a Ghost Runner review up at some point as well. I don't know if you guys are working on anything or have worked on anything that you want to plug. We should probably quickly shout out some Bug Snacks stuff. So
yes.
Marvel did a gameplay reel and a spoiler cast on Bug Snacks with Jesse Vitelli and of Prima Games, or is it Prima Games? I'm not sure. And Grayson Morales from Twinfinite. And I haven't watched spoiler cast yet because I haven't played the game, but
me neither.
I'm told that that's a very fun conversation. I've watched the gameplay reel. That is also a lot of fun.
Yeah. Next week I'll do my impressions of Bug Snacks.
Yeah. And Mitch, you put up an essay on Death Stranding on the anniversary, the 1 year anniversary of the game's release.
I did, and I'm very proud of it.
It's really good.
Yeah, you wrote that and narrated it. I edited it. I'm very proud of it as well. Yeah, and it's about why Death Stranding is the perfect game for 2020, and it goes into sort of the parallels between what happens in the game and what we've been sort of putting up with this year. So that's also really good. So check that out if you haven't already.
And if you liked what you heard about Miles, we're going to do our spoiler cast in a few weeks too. So
yes,
and I will also have my review up for Miles probably in the next. Probably by the upcoming week or the week after. It depends on how much stuff we put out. And then I will also have my Melody of Memory review around that same time. They're both similar length, and it shouldn't take me too long to bust out a review for either. So look forward to that in the coming week or week after.
Yeah, so lots of stuff coming from us. And anyone else have anything they want to share?
Nope.
No, I should be good.
Okay.
Go play Miles Morales.
In that case, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.